Alright, what you just saw was the first official test of the Jeep Cherokee everyday driver slash very capable off-road vehicle. My other video about this, the building of this, was very long. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't watch it because it was almost an hour long. But this is not the vehicle that I had done a video on previously. This is an 01 Jeep Cherokee Sport, and it started out life as a two-wheel drive. Now it is a four-wheel drive, as you can see. So just a brief little overview of this thing. I bought it with no engine, but had a good title. And I had the 97 that had no title and a good engine. And I mashed the two together and built this thing. 31-10-50 Kenda cleavers, 4.5 inch rough country suspension lift. I've got my sway bar disconnected right now for doing that intro that you just seen. It's dirty right now. I've got my roof rack on top with a light bar, LED light bar. I did the X Series full 4.5 inch lift. Came with new leaf packs, new coil springs, all that. I got my bumper covers off right now. All in all, this has turned out to be it was a pain building it, but now that I got it done, I'm absolutely in love with it. Let me pop the hood here. Sorry, my inside of my Jeep is a little trashed right now. There is my headliner that I put in there. I redid my headliner. So I'll pop this and open it up here. 4.0 inline 6. It's got a Rusty's off-road throttle body spacer on it. That right there is my breather tube for my front axle. Had to put a new battery on it. Had to fab up a water pump spout thing. See if I can focus in on that. You have to take the whole water pump off in order to change that out. Mine, the threads blew out on it. And so I went to the auto parts store and got a bunch of couplings and got it put together. New valve cover gasket, new intake manifold and exhaust manifold gasket, they're the same one. A couple new hoses here and there. I'm getting ready to change out that throttle valve cable, which is right there. It's been giving me some trouble. I've had to reset it a few times, so I'm just gonna put a new one on. I've got one off my other transmission. What else have we done in here? Oh, no, I didn't upgrade that yet. I was about to say I upgraded the fuel injectors, but I haven't yet. I put new O-rings on those because they were leaking. I'm sorry, it's been a little while since I got this thing built, so I'm just trying to remember everything I did. Swapped out the computer from the 97 to this 01, so the key works. It's got the RFID key, and I can use a regular key to start it because they didn't have that in 97. They did in 01. But yeah, all in all, this is I wired in a extended idle, and I wired in my fan so I can turn my fan on manually. This hood is the hood off the 97, painted flat black so that when I have the light bar on, it doesn't reflect near as bad as it did off the shiny green hood. And I did the black grille just to match. That way it didn't look off. Got my CB antenna up there. It's not tuned yet, so I'm not using it. Got my CB mounted right there. That's an old school Radio Shack CB. I got to tuck my wires back in. I've been working on it a little bit. The back is junky. I'm not going to go into that, but the four-wheel drive works exceptionally well. And it wasn't all that hard to swap it out to make it four-wheel drive. We found out actually during the process that the old man's 98 Jeep started out life as a four-wheel drive, or as a two-wheel drive, and somebody converted it to a four-wheel drive. It has a transfer case out of a 92 Cherokee in it, and we got a little confused and started doing some research on the VIN number, and turns out it used to be two-wheel drive. It is not hard to do. If you are looking for a Jeep Cherokee and you are on a budget and you want to do it fairly reasonably priced, look for a two-wheel drive Jeep, maybe that runs and has a title that you can get cheaper because they're not very sought after, and buy you a donor Jeep. All you need to convert a two-wheel drive Jeep Cherokee to a four-wheel drive is the transfer case and transmission, the front axle, and then the various linkages from the transfer case to the transmission, or from the shifter to the transmission. You'll need the shifter out of the inside. It unbolts from under the console. It's not that hard to do, and you need the front drive shaft, obviously. It's not that hard to do. I pulled the transfer case off the transmission, off the black Jeep, off the 97, pulled the engine transmission out after I pulled the transfer case out, and then I put the engine transmission back in, went under, put the transfer case back in, put the transfer case into this Jeep, and then swapped out front axles later. You could even run it before swapping out your front axle. If you're looking for a front axle and you've got your engine transmission transfer case, go ahead and swap it out. You can run it just two-wheel drive, you won't have anywhere to hook up your front drive shaft to. I will tell you what was a pain, this lift kit. These springs now I love the lift kit, don't get me wrong, the lift kit is great, but those coil springs from Rough Country are extremely stiff. And with this kit, you got adjustable upper and lower control arms. All right, and they got the specs in there, but it is, with the upper and lower control arms on there, you cannot drop that axle down far enough to get those springs in there without compressing the springs. And I put a 2-inch spacer above them springs, because when I got this kit, I've talked to Rough Country, and we don't think they sent me the wrong length coil springs, but the front end's at 2 inches lower than the rear end, and now it's sitting about right. The front end actually may sit up an inch or so higher than the back end now, but I'm all right with that. It gives me a little bit more ground clearance in the front. The kit is exceptional. Shocks, coil springs, leaf springs, upper and lower control arms, stainless steel braided brake lines. It is an exceptional kit. I will tell you, when you put these shocks on, where the shocks bolt up, let me see if I can get you under there. Where the shocks bolt up, right in there, the bolts break. I went and got the bolt breaks off into the nut that's welded in there. I went and got just regular grade 8 nuts and bolts at the implement store, farmhand store. Got grade 8 nuts and bolts. I took a pneumatic hammer and popped those old nuts out and fished them through with some just stainless steel wire. I ran through there and fished the bolt through, and then just bolted everything up. The only pain on this kit is getting the leaf springs and the coil springs in there, and getting the steering box, what's it called? The little arm that comes out of the steering box for your steering. That was a pain to get off there. Bleeping Jeep's got a video on getting that off. He took a cutting torch and cut it. I didn't have to. I used a pneumatic hammer and had the old man and another friend of mine beating on it with a couple hammers while I hit it with a pneumatic hammer. That's separated there, and that's from whenever I got hit here a while back after I got it built. I'll have to fix that. But oh yeah, I swapped out mirrors off the 97. The 97 Cherokee was a country, had the country package on it, so it had heated mirrors, and so I put those on here. I haven't gotten them working yet. I don't know if the mirrors are bad or the switch is bad, but all in all, I'm happy with this. Very, very happy with this. It's been my everyday driver since I got it built. I got rid of the Kia Sorento. I actually traded the Sorento for a Jeep Grand Cherokee that needs some work. I'm gonna work on it, and that'll be the winter vehicle for the wife to drive in the winter, and for like whenever me and my buddies want to go somewhere and don't want to take this loud thing. I don't have any exhaust on here, and the Grand Cherokee rides a lot better than this does as far as smoothness. I mean, it's stock, so it's got the 4.0, it's got the same engine as this, but it just rides smoother down the road. So it's something that me and my buddies can take when we're going out of town or just gonna run out camping or something, or go fishing, and I cannot have to put so many miles on this thing. This engine has got right at 200,000 miles on it. So my next project is going to be getting another 4.0 and rebuilding it, building a 0-mile engine for this thing. Then after that, it'll be a new transmission, 0-mile transmission, and then rebuilding a transfer case. My goal is to have a whole drivetrain to put into here that has 0 miles on it, so that I can swap them out and have a little bit more reliable engine. These things will run forever if you take care of them. And actually the oil in this one wasn't that bad. I drained the oil, completely flushed out the oil pan. I took the oil pan off, cleaned it out. Same thing with the transmission, flushed out the transmission system with tranny fluid. Took the pan off, replaced some solenoids, and cleaned the pan out, cleaned the magnet off where it had some metal in there, and put it all back together. I completely flushed the radiator and the cooling system. Stuff that, you know, your general maintenance on an older vehicle. You got to remember the drivetrain in this thing is a 97, so I flushed everything out and put all new fluids in it. But anyway, that's all for this video. Just giving you a quicker overview than my hour-long video of the Jeep Cherokee. I will also have put up at the same time as this one a what to look for when you're looking for a Jeep Cherokee. Things that me and the old man have come across in the process of buying, what are we at, 9 now? 8 or 9 Jeeps that we have. So your dad's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess we got 7 or 8 that I can think of right off the top of my head. But in the process of buying 7 or 8 Jeeps, stripping a couple of Jeeps out for parts, and just going and looking at them to buy them in general. That video will be linked right now. It should have popped up probably right here or here, somewhere right here. And then also check out my EDC videos. And thank you for watching. If you like what I do, please remember to hit like and subscribe.